Praise the Lord to all, and welcome to class 11 economics. In the first session, we learned unit 1 of literary microeconomics, which carried for 4 months from the exam. And in this second session, we will learn the second unit of literary microeconomics, which comes for 13 months of your annual exam, and it is consumers, equilibrium, and demand. In this second unit, we have 3 main concepts. The first one being consumers, equilibrium, and the second one is indefinite curve analysis and budget line, and the third main lesson is demand curve. So first we'll go to consumers, equilibrium, and in this we have meaning of utility and the types of utility, that is cardinal and ordinal utility, and the third one is TU and MU relation, and the fourth one being law of diminishing marginal utility. So first let us understand the meaning of utility. First, let's take an example, like if we are thirsty, then like normally what do? We either drink something that is water, or we have cold drinks, or we have tea, coffee. And in the same way, if we are hungry, then we go for food, and also if we want to travel somewhere, then we use various transport services. In this way, when we consume or when we use any goods or services, it satisfies our wants. That satisfying power of a commodity, or that satisfying power of any good, it is called as utility, which in short means satisfaction. It is a satisfaction that you receive when you use or consume any commodity. So that is the meaning of utility, and it has 2 types. That is, first one is cardinal utility, and the second one is ordinal. Cardinal utility, it is measured in terms of units, like 2, 4, 6, in terms of quantity. It is used by an economics marshal, and this cardinal utility, it uses units in terms of utils. Like for example, if you want to measure our cloth, it is measured in terms of meters. If you want to measure distance, then we measure in terms of kilometers. And if you want to measure something in liquid, then we measure in terms of liters. In this way, we measure satisfaction or utility in terms of utils. This is a measurement unit for satisfaction or utility. And in the ordinal utility, it is used by an economics Higgs, and he says that this utility or satisfaction, it cannot be measured in terms of number. We can measure it in terms of ranking, which means that we have to compare 2 goods and services and their satisfaction. Like tea offers you more satisfaction than coffee. Like Momo gives you more satisfaction than Chomin. In that same way, he says that Higgs or our economics says that this ordinal utility, it is measured in terms of ranking or comparison, whereas the cardinal utility, it says that utility can be measured in terms of quantity, units, or utils. Next, we will learn the relation between total utility and marginal utility. And first, let us understand its meaning. Total utility means the sum of satisfaction or sum of utility derived by consuming all the units of the commodity. For example, in this small table, this utility is cardinal utility, as it is measured in terms of numbers. And first, let us understand the table first. When consuming the first unit of a commodity, for example, let's say an apple. When I consumed 1 unit of apple, I got 14 units of satisfaction, or 14 units of utility. And when I consumed second apple, or when I consumed 2 apples, the total satisfaction I received is 18 utils. And when I consume 3 apples, the total satisfaction I received is 20 utils. So this total utility means consuming all the units of a commodity, or consuming all commodities. The total satisfaction which you receive is called as total utility. And the marginal utility means an additional unit. Like when you consume 1 more unit of apple, then how much addition satisfaction you get. For example, in the second apple, when I consumed 2 apples, I got total satisfaction 18. But when I consumed one more apple, that is, when I consumed the third apple, my total satisfaction is 20, which means that my satisfaction has increased by 2 liters. That 2 liters, it is marginal utility. That is the additional utility which you received when you consume one more unit of apple. In this, going to the relation between TU and NU, as you can see in this schedule, there are 3 phases of total utility. In the first phase, total utility is increasing from 14, 18, 20. And in the second phase, this total utility is constant, 20, 20. And in the third phase, this total utility is decreasing. So there are 3 relations between TU and NU. The first relation being that when total utility is increasing from 14 to 20, your marginal utility is positive. That is, it is decreasing, but it is positive. That is the first relation. And second relation is when total utility is constant or when total utility is maximum. At that point, marginal utility is 0. That is the second relation. And the third relation being that when total utility decreases or falls, your marginal utility becomes negative. So this is the 3 relations between TU and NU. First one, when total utility increases, as long as TU increases, NU marginal utility remains positive. And when TU is maximum, NU is 0. And when total utility falls, NU is negative. That is the relation between TU and NU. Next concept we are going to learn is law of diminishing marginal utility. This law states that as we consume more and more units of a commodity, the satisfaction or the utility which derived from an additional unit of that commodity will decline, which means that, in simple word, it means that as we consume or as we keep on using any goods and services continuously, then your desire to have that good will fall. For example, let's say in terms of food, when we have food in the first round, we take more quantity of that food, but in the second round, we take less quantity of that food, and some may also go for the third round by taking very less amount of that food, but like most of the time, people will stop at second round. Why is that? Because as we keep on consuming more goods and services at the same time or continuously, then your desire to have that goods will decline. It must have happened in your life because this psychological law is very general. It happens in all goods and services. If you keep on using any goods and services continuously, then your desire or your satisfaction for using the goods and services will fall. So that is why this law, it is also called as psychological law of satisfaction. And this law, it is valid only when your consumption is continuous. For example, if I keep on consuming food continuously, now I have my first round, and after few minutes I have my second round, then after a few minutes I have my third round. When your consumption is continuous, at that time your desire to have that food will decline. But if you keep some gap, like if I consume today and then I eat again tomorrow, then your desire to have that food will not decline, or this law will not be applicable. This law is applicable only when your consumption is continuous. And also in this law, we use standard unit of the commodity, which means the units which can be measured. For example, like I had 1 cup of coffee and I got 4 units of satisfaction. 1 cup of coffee we use. It will not use like 1 teaspoon of coffee. So here in this law, only the standard units of a commodity are used. Let's understand this the relation between total utility and marginal utility in terms of diagram. And I'm using the same schedule. In this diagram, as you can see, the one which is downward sloping, it is marginal utility, and the one which is increasing and then falls, it is total utility. As I have mentioned earlier, that there are three relations between TU and MU. I would like to show it in this diagram. That the first phase or the first stage is when total utility is increasing. The marginal utility, it declines, but it remains positive. That is the first stage. And second stage is when total utility is maximum or when it is constant, then the marginal utility is zero. This is the second relation. And when your total utility falls, the marginal utility becomes negative. That is, it passes through x-axis and then falls down. This is the third relation between total utility and marginal utility. And also this same diagram, you can use it for the law of diminishing marginal utility. As we have learned earlier, that the law of diminishing states that as you consume more and more units of a commodity, the satisfaction which you derive tends to decline. This is the diagram for your law of diminishing marginal utility. You can use the same schedule and also the same diagram. Here in this diagram, you can see that as I consume one more unit of commodity, my marginal utility tends to decline. It becomes zero and then it becomes negative. This is the diagram for TU and M relation and also law of diminishing marginal utility. The second concept which we're going to learn is the second main concept which we're going to learn is indifference curve analysis. And what is indifference curve? It is a curve which shows various combinations of two goods which gives you the same level of satisfaction when your income is given. That means that when your income is given, how you choose to consume two goods and what are the various combinations which gives you the same level of satisfaction. The curve which shows all these combinations, that curve is called as indifference curve. Now let's go through the properties and understand in better ways the meaning of indifference curve. There are 5 properties of indifference curve, and the first one being indifference curve is downward sloping. As we move on, we will understand indifference curve in a better way. So let's go to the first property. The first is indifference curve is downward sloping, which means that it slopes downward from left to right. Now, why is indifference curve downward sloping? This is because of the inverse relation between two goods. That is, when you are consuming more of one good, then you have to sacrifice the other good, because in order to maintain that same level of satisfaction, when you get more satisfaction from one good, that is called as monotonic preference. So the term which we are going to learn today is monotonic preference, which means that when you consume a greater amount, it gives you more satisfaction. For example, like if I gave you 2 plates, one plate contains 1 piece of momo and the other plate contains 10 pieces of momo. Obviously, you would go for the plate which has more pieces of momo because it will definitely give you more satisfaction. That is why this monotonic preference, it means that when you have more choices or when you have more amount or quantity of goods, it gives you more satisfaction. That is why when the consumer chooses more units of one good, he has to sacrifice the other one in order to maintain that same level of satisfaction. That is why there are inverse relation between these two goods. The consumer has to let's take an example of apple and orange. The consumer consumes more unit of apple, it gives him more satisfaction. Therefore, his satisfaction level for orange has to decline, which means that he has to consume less of oranges. Therefore, the indifference curve is downward sloping. Now, from the definition, it says that it represents various combinations. These are the various combination A, B, C, and D. Combination A is when you eat or when you consume 1 unit of apple and 10 units of oranges, and combination B is when you eat 2 apples and 7 units of oranges, and combination C when you have 3 units of apple and 5 units of orange. These are the combinations, but there is no indifferent, or let's say that these combinations gives you same amount of satisfaction. Whether you consume D or whether you go for combination A, any one or like any of the combination, it gives you same level of satisfaction. There is no indifference. That is why it is called as indifference curve, which means that any point on that indifference curve, any point on this indifference curve, it will give you same level of satisfaction. That is why our indifference curve is downward sloping, because when we consume more of one good, we have to sacrifice the other good. That is, there is an inverse or negative relation between the consumption of these two goods. It is because of monotonic preference. This is the first property of indifference curve. The second property of indifferent curve is that indifferent curve is convex to the origin. It means that the indifferent curve is convex, or it is facing the opposite sides from the origin. Why is that? It is because of the diminishing marginal rate of substitution. So now we are going to learn the meaning of MRS, marginal rate of substitution. So what is MRS? MRS is when you consume one more unit of one good, then how much, or the rate at which you are sacrificing the second good. For example, here when I am consuming one more unit of apple, I am sacrificing 3 units of oranges. In the same way, in the combination C, when I consume 1 unit of apple, I am sacrificing 2 units of oranges. In the same way, when I consume 1 more unit of apple in combination D, I am sacrificing 1 unit of the second good. So what is MRS? MRS, it is the rate at which you are sacrificing good Y in order to gain an additional unit of good X. So it is changing Y upon changing X. That is, MRS is loss of Y upon gain of X. How much, or how much you are gaining of good X and how much you are sacrificing an amount of good Y. Here, in order to gain 1 unit of good X, I'm sacrificing 3 units of good Y. This is called as MRS, marginal rate of substitution. In the case of indifference curve, this MRS, it tends to decline from 3 to 1. The rate at which our oranges are getting sacrificed, that rate is decreasing from 3 to 1. Because of this diminishing MRS 3 to 1, I'm getting my indifference curve shape as convex. As you can remember that in the first session, our PPC curve, it was concave because of the increasing marginal rate of transformation or marginal opportunity cost. In the same way here, since MRS, marginal rate of substitution, is diminishing, our indifferent curve is convex, and vice versa. Suppose if our MRS is increasing, then we will get concave shape, then our indifference curve will be concave. But in case MRS is constant, then our indifference curve will be straight line. But in this case, in the reality, when we eat more and more of apple, because of law of diminishing marginality, we tend to sacrifice less and less of oranges, because my desire to have apple will fall. Therefore, I will not sacrifice like before. Therefore, my MRS tends to decline from 3 to 1. Because of this diminishing MRS, my indifference curve shape is convex to the origin. This is the second property of indifference curve. And also I would like to add that the set of these combinations A, B, C, D, the set of these combinations, it is called as indifference set. So if the meaning of indifference set, it comes for 1 mark. So what is the indifference set? It is a set which shows various combination of two goods that the consumer can have, which offers him the same level of satisfaction. And the third property of indifference curve is that higher indifference curves gives you higher level of satisfaction. In the diagram, as you can see, there are two indifferent curves. I would like to add that more than one indifferent curve is called as indifference set. When you have 2, 3 or more than that, many indifferent curve, it is called as indifference set. In this diagram, there are two indifferent curves, IC1 and IC2. On IC1, we have point R, which consumes OK level of good 2, that is orange, and on point R, it consumes OL amount of good 1, that is apple. And on point S, that is IC2, on S, it consumes OK amount of oranges and OL1 amount of apples. We can see that on both this point, both R and S, it consumes same amount of oranges, that is OK. But when it comes to apple, point S, it consumes more number of apples than point R. It means that point S consumes OL1 amount of apples, which is greater than OL amount of apple, that is point R. So from these R and S, we can conclude that point S consumes more number of apples, which means that it gets more satisfaction. As we have learned in the previous property, that we learned the meaning of monotonic preferences. Monotonic preferences means greater consumption, higher level of satisfaction. And point S, since it consumes more, or since it consumes greater number of apples, it gives him more number of satisfaction. Therefore, since S is on IC2, it means that IC2 gets higher level of satisfaction because it consumes more number of one good. In the same way, if I add one more indifference curve, that is IC3, in the same way, it will consume more number of apples, that is L2. And in the same way, since IC3 it is consuming more of one good, it will definitely get more of satisfaction because of this monotonic preferences. Therefore, in this way, this property says that if you consume more, you will definitely get more satisfaction because of monotonic preference. And the fourth property of indifferent curve is that indifferent curve never intersect each other. From this diagram, we are going to prove that indifference curves will never intersect each other. There are two indifferent curves, IC1 and IC2. And on IC1, we have 2 points. That is, on IC1, we have point A and point B, which means that A is equal to B, because from the definition itself, it says that any point on the same indifferent curve, it gives you same level of satisfaction. So point A is equal to point B. And also on IC2, we can see that there are also 2 points, that is point A and point C, which means that on IC2 there are 2 points A and C, which means it gives you same level of satisfaction. Therefore, A is equal to C. From these 2 equations, we can conclude that B is equal to C. That is, point B is equal to point C. But this is not relevant at all, because from the previous property, we have learned that from point B and C is both this point consumes same amount of good 2, but when we see the other good, that is apple, point C is consuming greater number of apples, which means that it will of course get higher satisfaction. Therefore, point B will never be equal to point C. From this diagram, it means that two indifferent curves will never intersect each other, because when one indifferent curve is higher than the other, it means that it is consuming greater number of goods, and also it is getting more number of and also it is getting higher satisfaction. And the last property of indifferent curve is indifferent curve neither touches x-axis nor y-axis, because from the indifference curve analysis itself, or from the definition itself, it says that it is the consumption of two goods. And when we talk about touching x-axis or y-axis, say like for example in this first diagram, this indifferent curve, it is touching y-axis, which means that here he is consuming this much amount of good oranges, but in this his consumption of apple is 0, which means that it is not relevant to indifferent curve analysis. In the same way, in the second diagram also, when this indifferent curve is touching x-axis, it means that he is consuming only apples and he is not consuming any of the second good, which is oranges. Therefore, in these two diagrams, it is incorrect, because the consumer is consuming only one good, and from the indifferent curve analysis, the consumer has to consume two goods, and also he has to spend his income on various consumption of consuming two commodities. So this indifferent curve, it neither touches x-axis nor y-axis, because it consumes two commodities. And the third main concept which we are going to learn in Unit 2 is budget set and budget line. So let us understand this concept through an example. Suppose you have 60 rupees in your pocket, that is your income is 60 rupees, and you are going to spend it on the consumption of two goods, that is good 1 and good 2. And let's say the price of good 1 is rupees 2 and the price of good 2 is rupees 1. So from the given income, that is you have 60 rupees, let us see how we are going to distribute, or what all the combinations that we can purchase from the given income and knowing the prices of two goods. So let's go to the first combination, that is when I don't purchase anything of good 1, that is I'm spending all of my income on consumption of the second commodity, good 2. That means I will get 60 units of good 2, because the good 2 costs only 1 rupees per unit. And in the same way, in next, when I consume or when I purchase 10 units of good 1, that is since good 1 costs 2 rupees, when I buy 10 units of good 1, I'm spending 20 rupees of my income. So the remaining 40 rupees, I will get 40 units of good 2. In the same way, in the third combination, if I purchase 20 units of good 1, I'm spending 40 rupees for that. So the remaining 20 rupees, I'll get 20 units of good 2. So that is how I choose to spend my given income, knowing the prices of two goods. So this is the budget set. So what is the meaning of budget set? It is the set, or it is the various combinations which the consumer are able to purchase given his income and the prices of two goods. He can either spend all of his income, or he can spend less of his income and keep the remaining as his saving. So this is the budget set. And what is budget line? It is a line, or it is a graphical representation of the budget set. This schedule, I have presented it in the form of graphical presentation. So this line AB, it is called as budget line. So one thing we have to keep in mind is when we talk about budget set, it can be either your expenditure can be either equal to income, or it can be less than your actual income. And when we talk about budget line is when your actual expenditure is equal to your income. So the given equation is for the budget set, it is E1 x1 plus E2 x2. It can either be less than or equals to your income. And when we talk about budget line, the equation for budget line is E1 into x1 plus e2 into x2, it should be equal to your income. So when you talk about AB, you are spending your whole income on the purchase of two commodities. In this case, when I have 60 rupees, I'm spending all of my 60 rupees to consume two commodities. So that is your budget line. And this AB, it utilizes full income. So if suppose there is a point outside budget line, suppose let's say C, point C. Point C, this is non-attainable. It is called as non-attainable or non-feasible. It is called as non-attainable combination or non-feasible combinations because I will not be able to purchase this point or this point because I have only 60 rupees, and this point, it is beyond my budget, it is beyond my income. So this is non-attainable or non-feasible. And any point inside the budget line, let's say point D. Point D, which is inside budget line, it is feasible combination or it is attainable combinations because I can purchase point B. But here in this point B, I am using less of my income. That is, I'm not using my whole income. I'm spending, or my actual expenditure is less than my income. So I'm keeping some money in my savings. So this is point B, which is attainable combinations. So these are the 3 points. First point is outside budget line, which is non-attainable. Second point is inside budget line, which is attainable combinations. You can purchase that. And the third point is on the budget line. In any point on budget line AB, it shows the full usage or full utilization of your income. So this is the concept of budget set or budget line. It shows how a consumer is able to purchase two goods given his income and also the prices of two goods. In order to purchase something, one should know like how much he or she has in his pocket and also the prices of two goods, like how much these two goods are costing, so that he will be able to balance his budget accordingly. So this is the budget set. And the last concept which we are going to learn in today's session is the shift and rotation in budget line. As we have seen that the budget line, it mainly rotates around your income and the prices of two goods. So the shift and rotation also depends upon your income and the prices of two goods. First, let's go to the shift of the budget line. So the budget line, it either shift rightward or leftward. It because of the main reason is because of change in income. When you have more income, you will be able to purchase more of both the commodities. Therefore, your budget line will shift towards right. That is from budget line AA to budget line BB, because you will be able to purchase more of good X as well as more of good Y because of more income. In the same way, when you have less income or when your income falls, then you will be able to purchase less of both the goods. Therefore, your budget line will shift towards left from AA to CC. That is your expenditure on good X will reduce from OA to OC as well as OA to OC of good 2. In this way, the shift in budget line depends upon the change in income. When you have more income, your budget line will shift towards right, and less income, budget line will shift towards left. And in the same way, let's go to the rotation of budget line. The rotation of budget line depends upon your prices of two goods. When the price of good one remain constant. Let's go to the second diagram, diagram B. In this diagram, there is a change in price of good X, which means that the price of good 2 remain constant. When the price of good 2 remain constant, and also when your income remain constant, when the price of good X or good 1 falls. When the price of good 1 falls, you will be able to purchase more of good 1. Therefore, when the price of good X falls, your budget line will rotate outward, that is, rotate towards right from OB to OB1, but you'll be purchasing or consuming the same amount of good 2. And in the same way, when the price of good X increases, when the price of good 1 increases, you'll be able to purchase less of good 1. Therefore, your budget line will rotate inward, that is from OB to OB2. It will rotate leftward. So to the third diagram. Let's go to the third diagram. In the third diagram, there is rotation in good 2, which means that there is a change in price of good 2. And here in the third diagram, the prices of good 1 and also your income remain constant. So we are not talking about that. We'll be talking about only the changes in price of good Y. When the price of good Y increases, you'll be able to buy less of good Y. So therefore, your budget line will rotate downward from A to A2. So your budget line will be from AB2, it will rotate downward to A2B. That is when you will be able to purchase less because of increase in price of good 2. And vice versa, when there is fall in the price of good 2, you will be able to buy more of good 2. Therefore, when there is a fall in price of good 2, your budget line will rotate upward from AB to A1B. That is, your budget line will rotate upward. So these are the shift and rotation in budget line. It mainly depends upon your income and prices of two goods. Now, the point which we have to keep in mind is when we are talking about change in income, the prices of two goods remain constant. And when we are talking about the change in prices of two goods, your income will remain constant. So all other things remaining constant, when there is change in income, your budget line will shift. And when all other remaining constant, when there is change in prices of the two goods, your budget line will rotate outward or inward. So this is the last concept in your second session. 근데 터마드가 드리는 동의가 김주시 장교들 테스트 배변이 기시기는 상수와 아니 드리 완전 주시 소 승가라 장례 등보디 유틸리티가 지금 유틸리티가 아니 저는 가능이나 내가 가고 싶은 거지가 되는 거다 아니 무슨 유틸리티가 그래서 내가 무슨 얘기는 이래서 무슨 내가 가고 싶은 내가 가서 가고 있는 그래서 리어치리스라 당부들 가는 유틸리티가 맞아 내가 가서 가서 장가 되는 체제 이거는 지금 이거는 ordinary utility 되거든요. 아니 막 자동나 차디나 커피를 심바도 되더니 마디 되고 막 하면서라 자동이 되고 막 하면서 지금 하지게 저도 주변에 그래서가 근데 아니 지유의 에너지 파지티브가 안지유의 에너지 파지티브가 저도 생각했어 당보다 저를 유틸리티 되는 파티인데 되게 맞은 유틸리티 되는 positive feels라 그래서 맞춰봐게 정부도 저를 유틸리티 되는 야파비까지나 맞은 유틸리티 되는 positive feels라 이미 저를 유틸리티 되는 Motion indicates long in as margin related to laboratories. Limited related to the Machadi and as margin related to the this negative characteristics. This in Java and the law of diminution marginality. They even Karana and say the challenge is motive in the Pishatam, the motive in the Sad Devajana, and these are the paper this side, the paper in the law in this when there was a law of diminution marginality. So you are paid to shower Jana, 이 간단히 칼라지 싸워야지만 엄마시가 저거 다니는 칼라 때문에 되게라 때문에 되게 공인의 테마 담보되는 망고된 말을 있으면 말이야 되니가 담보게 저거 말자 와서 되는 테마 선보든가 테마 선보되는 일이 무엇이면 되죠 제가 놓친 그런 얘기 그 직선에게 목표를 싸워야지만 되는 사람이 되고 되다 그런 거 있어요 되고 너무 맞아도 돼서 그러면서 너 디미션 마진 되잖아요 네가 주식 담보들에 아니 직쳐와라 네가 아니 직쳐와라 아니 네가 지금 아니 직가라 네가 미는 차이 그런 거 빼든가 근데 아니 숨쳐와라 TUN relation 데 아니 숨쳐와라 그런 의미가 뭐 진짜 law of generation 데 아니 숨 말이에요 근데 아주 주식이가 가지는 indifference curve 그런 게 기준이잖아 그런 기준이 아니겠지 아니 somebody was a budget sector, budget line होगा धीरे धीरे indifference curve जो show है इसमें धीरे indifference curve की चीज़ है ऐसा धीरे दिखाते हैं वो ना point दिखा point खंडी है कि राम लगते हैं सिंपल हुआ देखो समझ चिपटे हुए हैं सर ये point A दूसरी थी वाला point A गाँव थी में दिखी चला चिप मांगा चिप न्यू सही है ना ये point शिंपा जो थी दिखी चला चिप दिखा रहा मांगा चिप न्यू वाला तो सही है ना point दिखा रहा खंडी थी दिखा रहा point खंडी ये के वाला खा रहा देखो समझ चिपटे हुए हैं सर ये मांगने की क्या से मारेगा मुझे जानते हैं बजट से क्या दिखाना है ना ये मरांगी 그럼 연합인가 말하는 거제도 일단 말하 연합 가제도 근데 이 짜라니 여하지나 짜라니 이제 공대하고 제 얘기 짜라니 간데스는 얘기 없이 된다 그래서 간데스는 또 이런 거 버젯 라인이라 근데 버젯 라인이 파기 의미 차기 의미 이게 과다라는 거는 말하는 연합이라는 거지 이 연합 대마을 여하지나 이 짜라니 그 마음을 내두고 있어 연합 유명한 여하지나 이 짜라니 그 유명한 거지요 지금 짜라니 공대법을 들어와 기승에 짜라치기 공파까지는 여기 짜라치기 하는 시작이 있는 거와 짜라치기 공유하는 게 있어. 지금 짜라니 버디게 공과 차가지는 짜라니 버디는 마음이 들어있어. 그렇지 그러면 버젯 라인 내기 그렇게도 차고도 되게 랑이 연박다 짜라니들이 공유하는 게 있습니다. 되게 장하게 주셨습니다. And so in the second session, we learned these three main concepts. And the first concept, it will come for either 1 or 3 marks. The meaning of utility will come for 1 mark, and also the cardinal and ordinal utility, anyone, it will come for 1 mark with an example. And TUN relation and LTN will law of diminution marginality. These two, it will come for 3 marks each, and you have to explain it with a diagram. And also the second point is very important in difference curve and properties. It may come for either 3 marks or 6 marks. In our economics, like they will not ask write all the properties of indifference curve. They will either give one specific property and you have to explain that property only. So like in economics, you have to learn all the subpoints. And the third concept, budget set and budget line, it will also come for 3, 4 or 6 months. You will have to explain the meaning of budget set, then the schedule and also the diagrams. So these are the 3 main concepts which we learned today in our second session. And thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.